What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down the difference between the double up release, the split release, and then the wide step release. So these are three different releases that all can kind of accomplish the same thing at the end of the day. So we're going to be talking about what differentiates the three, when you guys would want to use those three specific releases on each specific route and on each specific defensive coverage. So I hope this gives you guys some value. I hope it teaches you a few things about how you guys can structure your press releases off that line of scrimmage. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you're maybe not sure what drills you should be doing on a day-to-day basis, what sets you should be doing on the drills, what reps you should be doing on the drills, check out that very first link in the description below for our 8-week-long wide receiver on-field workout plan. What it is, it's a 2-month-long wide receiver training schedule with all of the on-field drills that wide receivers need to be doing. You'll get our wide receiver on-field workout version 1 and version 2. All days are broken down with sets, reps, and we include 2 hours of instructional video content breaking down each drill and explaining the importance of it and showing a full speed example. So very first link below, let's get started with this video. So we look at this right here from Davante Adams. He's going to go with this double up. So that's the first release I want to talk about today. Then we'll get into a split, and then we'll talk about a wide step. So a double up essentially is you want to step in the direction that you're going first because it's a double cut, right? So everybody's familiar with that like single jab release where you would just have your front foot up and you would just jab to the outside, in this case because his outside foot's up, or you would jab to the inside, whatever it is, where you're just taking one step. Everybody's familiar with that. I think everybody knows that. Now a double up is where you would take 2 steps, right? So you would want to step to where you're going first because you're trying to sell like you are going back to the inside, right? So it's very similar to a wide step, very similar to a split release, but there's some differences between the two, okay? So you would want to use this double up when you would want to say, I would say when I'm taking an outside release. I like to double up when I want to take an outside release simply because we could threaten him to the inside, especially if the DB's inside shade. So what Adams does here is he comes up to the line of scrimmage. A double up is where you take 1 step to the outside like so, and then throw back to the inside. You see how it's just a 1-2. He takes 2 steps, that inside move. He's given that little head and shoulder fake, throwing with his upper half to the inside to get that DB to sit to that inside shade, and I just take the outside release. A very basic situation you could do this is like, let's say you have to run let's say, for example, and a double up could go either way, right, fellas? You don't have to have this outside foot up to do the double up. You could have normal foot, like inside foot's up. You could step with the left foot first, then step back to the inside, like a double tap, however you want to call it. But that double up is where you take 2 steps rather than just 1 hard step, rather than splitting your feet like on a split release. Just make sure that we are selling back to the inside. So like I said, very simple situation we could use it. Let's say this guy's a little bit closer in press. He's inside shade, and maybe you have to run like a comeback, right? So what I would do, and let's say your right foot's up, I would hit him with a left foot move. I go left and right. And just anything to threaten him back to the inside, to get him to keep his leverage to the inside because the DB's inside shade for a reason. Then I can take the outside release and I'm good. I'm threatening the DB to where his leverage is so he can keep his leverage, and that gives me space to the outside to operate. Same idea in this case. The only thing that changes is Adams kind of attacks his leverage off the top, but it's still the same double up. Those 2 steps have to be sudden, but it's a 1-2 to get that DB to sit to the inside like I'm selling inside release, like I'm selling slant, so I can burst up and take that outside release on this route and restack. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Adams attacking, giving that quick 1-2, and then getting back over the top to create separation. Okay, so now what's a split release? So a split release is exactly how it sounds. A lot of people mistake this for a double up release. A lot of people think that a split release is the exact same thing, but it's not. What a split release is where you're taking your back foot and you are bringing it even with your front foot, and you are taking your front foot and you're kicking it out wide. So what you're doing is you're just splitting your feet, bringing your back foot even with your front foot. There's a little hesitation to the release, but what this is for is to get that DB's feet to stop and to get a read on the DB, because with the split release, you could go outside or you could go inside. So let's watch it full speed. So he splits and he takes the inside release on this thing. So the split release is so important that you come to balance and that you are sudden but also patient with the move. So this receiver does a great job. This is a perfect example. Bring the back foot even with the front foot and kick the front foot out wide. Now this is a base where you could go either way. This is what I mean by coming to balance. A lot of people will screw up on the split release. A lot of people will split, but they don't have their feet go kind of just outside of their shoulders here. They'll have their feet be super close together and they'll stand straight up with their chest. Guess what that DB is going to do? He's going to jam you and he's going to completely reroute you off of this thing. So make sure on this split release, I'm in this balanced position now. Now, I talked about getting a read. Like you want to hesitate on this split release because let's say this DB, let's say you had to run a fade, for example. Maybe not a slant because a slant's a little bit different, but let's say you had to run a fade and that DB is lined up head up. You like this. I personally like this split release when I got a head up DB. You could use it against inside shade. You use it against outside shade. I personally like it when he's head up because that split kind of freezes him and you react off of him. You can see which way he's going to go because a lot of the times releases are about reacting. So let's say, for example, we had to run a fade, right? Let's say I had to run a fade and I hit with this split release and this DB jumps to the inside. Let's say off the line, he kind of freezes his feet, but he's trying to seal the inside, right? He kind of takes his first step. He's taking away the inside. Fine. I would just burst off of this foot and take the outside release. It's about reacting. I'm in that position of balance. I could react outside or I could react inside, right? Whereas like a double up, like we were talking about, if we were going to do a double up and you wanted to take an inside release, what foot would you step with first? You'd step with the inside foot, step back to the outside and go. Or if you wanted to take an outside release, you'd step with the outside foot first, then throw back to the inside. It's kind of premeditated, right? But for the split release, it's more of a reactionary release. So I split right here. I'm getting a read on this DB. If he wants to sit where he's at and I feel like I could take the inside release, good deal. I could just push off this outside foot. Let's say he jumps way inside, good deal. I can push off the inside foot. I'm in that position of balance. I'm in a good base where I can go outside, I go inside. Most of the time off the line, you kind of have an idea of where you're going to go. However, if he reacts and he takes it away, you don't want to force the route because if this DB were to take away the inside on this and you force the inside release, he's going to reroute you and screw up the spacing and screw up the timing with that quarterback. So this is a perfect example of how you guys can do that split release. A split release is different from a double up because both feet kind of move at the same time. You're splitting, you're hesitating, you go outside or you could go inside. It's more of a reaction. And we like it against a head up DB. That double up, we liked it against an inside shade DB or an outside shade DB. We like this one against a head up DB. Let's watch the thing full speed. So he does a split, bursts off to the inside, and then breaks this thing right off on a slant. That's a great route there. Great job utilizing that split release. Okay, so now let's talk about a wide step release. So a wide step is very similar to a double tap, except that this first movement is kind of like a prep step. Okay, so a wide step is exactly how it sounds, right? Double up, exactly how it sounds. You take two steps. Split release, exactly how it sounds. You're splitting your feet. A wide step is you are stepping wide with your back foot. You are stepping wide outside the DB's frame with the back foot. You see Amari Cooper do this all the time. You see Stephon Diggs do this all the time. Who's another guy? Doug Baldwin's another great one that does it all the time. But you step with this outside foot outside this DB's frame to sell vertical, like you are selling a speed release where you just take one quick step to the inside or one little false step, kind of prep step, balance step, whatever you want to call it, and take off to the outside. So let's watch this full speed. So he does wide step, get that DB to jump outside, and we break this thing off and run this slant. Great job by Hopkins here making this route work, okay? So now, the main thing I want to get across is I like this wide step release in a couple of situations. I like it in cover two, where the DB's maybe outside shade. He's trying to force you inside. He's got zone. He's covering the flats. He's not going to let you get the outside release. Okay, fine. I'm just going to keep him honest. I like it when it's an outside shade DB in man, because then I could he's outside shade. He wants to force me inside. I could threaten him where he doesn't want me to go, and I could take off. Or I like it when he's head up in this case, but I know that there's safety help because I see a linebacker kind of trailing to where they're almost going to kind of double team me in the red zone, or maybe it's a bracket coverage look with a safety over the top, whatever it is. But that's when I like the wide step release, when I have to take an inside release, like I'm doing a one-step slant against press. Maybe I got to get over the field right now on a drag route, whatever it is, that's when I like the wide step. So let's talk about the mechanics of this. So you see this kind of first step that he takes here? That's not a double up. That's more of a prep step. That step right there that he's taking with the front foot, that's not a false step. Any coach that tries to tell you that that's a false step, they don't know what they're talking about. It's a prep step. It is a step for balance, because when you take that step, you could push off of this leg right here. You could push off of the prep step leg and really throw your hip into the wide step. And you see how much he's stepping outside of his frame, how much his upper body is selling. That's what gets the DB to jump to the outside, and that's what gets that DB to sit on that fade route. You step wide outside of his frame, you threaten with your upper half. That's what will move him off that platform. And especially if he's supposed to be outside shade, if he's got help to the inside, he's really not going to give up that fade. His help is inside, so he wants you to run towards the help, because then he's double teamed. If he gets a free outside release, it's one-on-one, and we don't like that matchup from a defensive perspective. I love it from a receiver perspective, but I can kind of flip the script and use that to get me some space. So this wide step, again, you take a prep step. It's not like a double up. It's very similar, but you take a prep step, and we are always stepping wide with the outside foot to get an inside release. Okay, so double up is a two-step. It could go either way. Split release is 2 feet at the same time. You could release outside, release inside. A wide step is always an inside release, and you're only stepping with that wide back foot. You could take that little prep step with the front foot. Those are the three differences between those releases. Let's watch it again. again, full speed. Great job stepping wide, getting that DB2 jump, and then obviously winning on this slant route over the middle and fighting through that double team coverage. That's a great route there by Hopkins. All right, guys, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. I always appreciate the feedback. Always great hearing from you guys. And again, fellas, if you want our 8-week-long wide receiver on-field workout plan, 2 hours of video content explaining each drill, showing full speed examples, and we give you the exact workouts daily with sets, repetitions, and rest days as well, and routes to run broken down and shown examples as well. Very first link in that description below. I'll see you guys next time.